Just ahead on the second hour of American Sunrise, President Trump says his administration plans to expand its immigration enforcement operations throughout 2026, despite backlash from liberal leaders in cities across America. We're going to break down the new strategies from ICE to continue Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. And who should be drained from the D.C. swamp in this new year? We will debate our top picks on who needs to be flushed out first in 2026. And the entertainment industry seeing a shift away from the woke, with more productions embracing conservative values. Producer and actress Sam Sorbo joins us to discuss how President Trump is influencing Hollywood to embrace a new direction. All of that, so much more as American Sunrise starts right now.
Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
We have breaking news to share with you.
politics,
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
we've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina. All right, welcome back to this New Year's second hour of American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. Good morning. Let me bring in my co-host today, Emily Finn, and filling in this hour for David Brody is Reagan White House correspondent Brian Glynn. Terrence Bates has the day off as well. Welcome to you two. Look, we are the working stiffs officially for this new year.
That's right. We are the working class of real America's voice. And of course, everyone behind the camera as well. We are the working class.
Yes, we are.
I am so excited that you're here with us today, Brian. Always a treat, always a pleasure to get to host with you.
I love hanging out with you guys. I wish I could teleport to West Palm Beach every day. I absolutely enjoy it.
I think you should. I think you should. The weather's fine, just in case you were curious.
I like it warm.
Well, Happy New Year's to both of you. Emily, why don't you take us into some headlines for the day?
All right, will do, Gina. Millions of Americans are heading home after New Year's celebrations across the country. Airports, highways, and train stations are busy with families returning from vacations, visiting relatives, or spending time with friends. Transport officials report smooth operations despite the heavy traffic, and many shoppers are taking advantage of post-holiday sales along the way. This traditional return home is a reminder that Americans value family, freedom, and personal responsibility, making the end of the holiday season both busy and heartwarming. No matter how far people traveled, the message is clear. America is ready for a strong start to 2026. The holidays may be over, but Americans are still hunting for deals during the post-New Year's sales 2026. Retailers are slashing prices on winter clothing, electronics, home goods, and clearance items, and sharp, budget-savvy shoppers are ready to cash in. Online shopping remains strong, with many taking advantage of convenient pickup options or buy now, pay later plans. Economists say this post-holiday window provides a boost to Main Street and local businesses, proving that Americans know how to stretch their dollars and still support traditional retailers. For shoppers, it's a second chance at savings, and for retailers, it's a strong start to the New Year's economy. And as we return to our routines the day after New Year's Day 2026, many are reflecting on their resolutions and the holiday celebrations behind them. Sports fans will enjoy the remaining holiday football games this weekend. And we are going to toss it back to Dr. Gina.
Thank you, Emily. With the holidays behind us now and the country back in motion, attention now turns to what leadership looks like in this new year. Joining us now, Robert Charles, who worked in the Reagan White House, has served as a former Assistant Secretary of State, and is now a candidate for governor of Maine. Robert, welcome to the show. Happy New Year. As Americans reset, look ahead, deal with traffic on their way to work, what are Americans most hungry for? And how does that shape the case for leadership at the state level, all over the country, really?
I think the reality is people want a return to normal. They, this may be an old phrase, but they want to return to Norman Rockwell's America. They want to be able to have lower taxes and less government in their lives. And we call that affordability. But at the end of the day, it's just being able to make ends meet. And up here in Maine, that's always a challenge, especially under the Democrats recently. I think they want to return to rule of law. And that means get rid of and finish off this process of getting illegal aliens out of here, get these drug traffickers that have been on the rise to be on the fall, get them out of here, and maybe a respect for law among average people. And that really bleeds into the third big thing. And that is this return to normal business means let's just put the death to the idea of Marxism in America. People don't really want this infatuation with woke garbage in their schools anymore. So at the end of the day, and the only other thing I think I would say people are hungry for, and we see it in the headlines, is accountability in government. It used to be we all understood that those in government worked for us. We didn't work for them. And I think there is a need for the restoration here of the idea that a republic only works if the people who are vested with that trust actually uphold that trust and are accountable. And from Minnesota to Maine, we see an awful lot of betrayed trust. So I think people just want back to normal, Norman Rockwell's America, which we can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Accountability certainly is something that Americans want to see more of. We also want to get your take on this. President Trump is planning to expand into more aggressive ICE operations with billions of new funding throughout 2026. Your reaction to this? I mean, this is something that he definitely is delivering on his promises in terms of immigration.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when Ronald Reagan came finally to power, he said there have been a lot of years of, I'm paraphrasing, but what he said was there's been a lot of years of messing it up. It takes an awful lot of time to get it fixed. And, he used the analogy of a stable full of let's just say a full stable needing to shovel it out. And that's really what we're up against here. The illegal aliens in this country number, we have so many, we don't even know whether it's 10 million or 20 million. And what we're finding is that every time you turn over a rock, there's more. And so I think the bottom line is these false claims of asylum, these people who've come in between the checkpoints, they need to be swept out of here. I use the phrase in Maine, we need to wire brush them out of here. Obviously, legally, we will have a temporary immigration court optimally here to quickly move them through like a conveyor belt. But the president is going to put choke points out there, and I think he's doing it exactly right. You put more ICE out at the borders. You put them at the central locations where you find illegal aliens. You put them in these benefit centers, and ultimately, I'd like to see up here in Maine and all over the United States enough marshals and ICE that when the next election cycle comes around, 2026, late this year, and even in the primaries, people are able to say, look, I need marshals and ICE 2 or 3 weeks out ahead here at the polls so we don't get any of this illegal voting. So I think he's doing it right.
Well, Bobby, that leads me to my next question. What is your preview of the 2026 midterms? Besides that, we all know a guy named Bobby that may or may not win the governor's race seat. But what's your predictions for your great state and the rest of this country in the midterms?
Well, I would like to go back to the old phrase that as Maine goes, so goes the country. We are up. My campaign is up double digits, which is remarkable. In multiple polls, we're up by 20 points in one poll. We have a very strong message, and it kind of reflects what I said earlier. I keep it down to the tight sort of cut taxes, cut crime, and cut the nonsense. But at the end of the day, I think Maine may be an example of how you take a blue state and turn it entirely red. We're on course to win the governorship. The best thing we've got going for us is the Democrats. They continue to flail and die on all the wrong hills. And then if we win the legislature, which we're on track to do very well there too, we win the constitutional officers. And what that does, the way places like Kentucky and Florida and others in the past have done, is it shows you can take a state that got infected with the disease of Marxism or wokeism and overspending and overtaxing, and you can reverse that course. Broadly, if you take that center circle and you expand it outward to the country, I think what we're going to see here is a surprising upturn in the elections. And the year that this reminds me of is 1994, a midterm election cycle in which you didn't have a president running. You did end up with high turnout. In 1994, the Democrats thought they had total control of the government. They thought with a combination of Bill Clinton and control of the House and the Senate, they were going to be just, in the clover. And it turned out that with Gingrich, and I worked with him at that time, but we flipped 52 seats, and the Democrats were left gobsmacked. They couldn't figure out what went wrong. And what went wrong was that they believed that every midterm belonged to them if the president either way, and they believed that they were going to continue to stay in control. They'd been in control for 40 years in the House, and they were wrong. And the Democrats have been in control for almost 30 of 32 years here in Maine, and they are going to be gobsmacked when we're done. They're going to turn around and go, wow, you mean people really did just want common sense and more affordable life and more rule of law? That's really what they wanted? And the answer is yeah, nationwide. That's what people want. They want a return to normal, less government, more accountability, and hey, you work for us, not the other way around.
But a lot of folks out there are asking the question, Bobby, what happens if all the great illegal immigration policy that President Trump has put into place is not actually codified into law? People are starting to ask that question as they look down the road to 2028, 2026 and beyond, 2028 as well, because then what the doomsayers would say is that, look, there are going to be prosecutions of Republicans again. They'll weaponize branches of government again against MAGA patriots and America First patriots. And they'll likely go ahead and prosecute President Trump, his entire family, his entire administration, and many of his supporters. What's your response to that?
You know, I'd like to believe that optimism, as Reagan used to say, is a force multiplier, that we would listen, as Lincoln and Reagan said, to our better angels over some period of time. I realize there are those that hate Trump, and there are those and I'm probably one of them, that really hates the Marxist intrusion into our lives. But I guess I would say I have a great faith in the American people's ability to see truth and to keep to it. And I think part of what we have to do is keep re-educating ourselves. Education never ends, about the fact that our founding principles involved remembering that the republic, to again borrow from Benjamin Franklin, is hard to keep, that you have to want to keep rule of law. You have to want to keep a non-political judicial system. You have to want to codify the idea that fairness in law is what we're all about. And I think, one of the best things in the world, I'll leave you with these two things. One, I would love to see in this next year a rededication to everybody reading the Constitution, thinking about it, understanding what it really means, going back and understanding that our founding fathers really were brilliant. They're not just people who showed up on the planet and were lucky. They were truly foresightful. So re-understand the foundation points of our republic. And then finally, and I'll add this as having recently, spent some time in some military cemeteries, I would love to see us appreciate that America is not an accident, and just have kids, maybe at the high school level, walk through a cemetery with a veteran and understand that this constitutional republic that we should love to the ends of the earth, deeply, deeply support, defend, that this was not an accident. This is the product of enormous sacrifice by military personnel, by patriots of all kinds, by teachers, by nurses, by doctors, by businessmen and women. This is a country that we should love and cherish. And that's why I wrote a book called Cherish America a few years ago. We've got to get back to basics and love America.
Bobby Charles, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you.
And you.
Still ahead on American Sunrise, as I just said, it is a new year. We're going to emphasize that today for sure. That means, though, there's a new chance to drain the D.C. swamp, and we're sharing our thoughts on who should be flushed first when American Sunrise continues. We'll be right back.